So what I want to do is I want to bring his face out. So I'm going to start by, I need the light of that beak to come out. So I need this to be dark around the beak. And if I want him to have a little bit of a furry feel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first let me get another brush with just clean water, because I don't want any of these to form edges. So if you're painting and you want to move to another area, always just add water to where you're leaving the area. Soften it up so you don't end up with dark edges. Okay. So I need to turn him a little bit because I want him to have a little bit of a fuzzy feel to his head. So now I'm going to use the tip of my brush and I'm going to come in with little pointy white spots. And I don't want to do it everywhere because that's going to be boring. So I'm going to do some, then I'm going to do a few more around here, and I'm going to do a few more. And you'll see that he'll start to have that feeling of little spikiness. A little fur, very, very, very soft fur. Again, just water to pull out that back edge. Okay, but I don't want him to just look outlined. So I'm coming back in with more pigment. So I can take a little bit of this moon glow and I'm thinking of where is the dark in my little chick, and I'm thinking under the chin. There's some darks through here that are going to come down. And again, I'm going to soften all this with water. So there's darks. Then I have definitely some darks where his chest comes in. I've got some darks in here. And some more darks coming up that way. Okay, now I need water. I like the way I'm getting some of these watermarks through here. They're just ruffled feathers to me. I don't want a hard edge where his legs come into the body. Now I can go back to my reference and I can come in here to the face a little bit. And I know he's going to still have an orange beak, even though he's a pink bird. Okay, so you can see how cute he's starting to come to life. Let's start adding his legs because again, this has to dry. With watercolor, it's a matter of saying, okay, this is really wet. Now it's time to move over here. Then this becomes really wet. It's time to move over here. And I move around my paintings. But the most important is I keep an eye out to see what the watercolor is doing. Because again, I said it before, just because I stopped working in an area doesn't mean the watercolor stopped working. Let's come into his legs. Now, his feet are really dark here, but I don't want to give him little black feet. I could do them in moon glow, but I want to add a pop of the orange in here. So I'm going to take the burnt sienna that I have here, and I'm going to start with that. I just like the pop of color on his feet. And I'm literally going to just bring it right over the entire foot for now so that the foot just gets color. I don't mind if a little bleeds up into the body. I like that mingling of colors that happens. See the little bit of mingling? The color is actually running up into the body. I kind of like that because it marries them together. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add the same color I just put there. I'm going to do a very, very light glaze right over the rest of this beak. I'm cleaning my brush, but I'm also drying it. So I'm cleaning my brush, but I'm drying it off because I want to come into the very tippy top of this beak and I want to lift a little bit. So I'm pressing hard. You see how I'm bringing light back to that area? So there's a little color on it, but I've lifted a lot of it off. And right down here, I can go a tiny bit darker. So I'm going to grab a little bit of an orange I have here. This is transparent orange. It's a schminky color that I really love. And I'm going to drop a little bit down here. I'm watching that it doesn't run into his chest. If I thought it was going to, I would just press down on that edge. My brush is dry. I can come in here and lift a little bit just to make sure it doesn't run into his chest. But you see how it gave me a really nice dark side of the beak. And when this is a little drier, I'll add a tiny bit to the top. Back to his legs. Let's add a little more orange. Okay, and while the top of that leg is still wet, I'm going to come in with a little of this moon glow. I'm going to start away from where it's wet. And I'm not going to leave a hard edge there. That's not what I want. And then I'm just going to touch that a little bit. Yeah, now it looks like I gave him some type of socks. Cleaning my brush. And now with clean water, I'm going to soften this upper edge. Again, I didn't want it to look like it was just a hard edge right there. And now clean water, I'm just going to softly blend those in. And you see how it goes from very shadowed down into the feet. Oh, and his eye. Let's put his eye in. I'm going to use the Moon Glow, very concentrate for the eye. And I'm going to just give him, he's got like almost an oval eye, leaving a tiny white spot. But as soon as you put the eye in, it just starts to come to life. I'm taking my brush. I'm just taking a little bit of the water off. And I want to come in, even though it's so tiny, I still want to come in and lift a tiny bit. And you'll see, just that little bit is coming off. Because I don't want the eyes to just look like I just put solid, like a solid black piece of coal there. And you can see now that even the eye itself has a variation of very dark and lighter of that black I use, that moon glow. His feet. I need to bring this one little toe out a little tiny bit. So I'm going to just negative paint on either side. Clean my brush and pull that away. And you see how it looks like that toe is coming straight down? Let's do that again on this side, but it's only the one side. Well, I can do a little bit over here. And sometimes it's these really little tiny things we do that make a difference. Now it looks like that toe is coming right out of the front of that foot. And then I want to push back the bottom of his foot. And I'm going to use what's on my palette is some of that. I have some of the hematite burnt scarlet. I don't want it to be too dark, but I want to come in here and I want to give these toes a little more definition. Okay, but now we gave his feet some definition. And if I think it needs to go a little darker, I can always come in and go darker, but I'd rather do it a little bit at a time. So where I have those darker shaded areas, I can come in with a little more color through here. And then he has this really pretty little fringy spot through there. And a little more fringy we'll bring through here. But you can see where putting in that moon glow in the beginning as shadows really helped me establish a lot of the contour shapes. I don't even think I'm going to put orange on the face. I'm going to pick up a little bit of lemon yellow because I want the top of his beak to be nice and light. And I think the lemon yellow will do that for me. Yep. You see how it brought lightness into that. So just a pop of the lemon yellow. I think I'm going to pop a tiny bit of it on the top of a couple of toes. And that's all I'm going to say with him.